if you've been watching any of my webinars, you know I like wearing my hats. So I got a surprise for you, Misty. She hasn't seen this yet, nor anyone else online, but you know, it is December, so wait a minute. Here we
Oh
go.
my goodness. You did it.
I
Yes.
did it.
It
It is
actually looks really
December.
good on you.
I know, thank you. You know, I might wear this later on tonight, but I wouldn't I would be remiss if I didn't wear this other hat that I have because I got to represent, and today is the first night of Hanukkah for those people who are Jewish out there like myself. So this is
Ah,
my little hat with all the little dreidels on it. So
very cool.
for
Very
those of
rich.
you celebrating any holiday, happy holidays from Applied Software and your guy, Rick Kramer, your Bluebeam certified instructor, and Misty. So, yay!
Which is just Misty. That's
It's a Misty to everything.
Misty.
She's Misty the Wonderful. She's Misty the Wonderful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, so before we get started with the PDFs and all the Bluebeam stuff, I snuck in, of course, a trivia question for you guys.
Oh, let's see what you got.
So, what epic character was born on this day in history? Was it A, Scooby-Doo? Was it B, Tom from Tom and Jerry? C, Yogi Bear? Or D, Donald Duck?
Wow. Oh, can you do a Donald Duck? I can do a Donald Duck.
Oh, no, I cannot. You go ahead and
ready?
do, yeah.
That's it.
That was pretty good. What about Yogi Bear? Can you?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'd have to practice
that was
that.
almost there. Yeah.
And Scooby-Doo. So hidden talents. That's you'll see me up on stage on America's Got Talent. Hopefully, I don't get buzzed. I don't know.
No,
You know,
they could not buzz you, Rick.
No, thanks. I don't know. You know, this is the first time I've seen this. I'm gonna guess. I'm going with Yogi.
Yogi Bear.
Yogi. What about you? I mean, you know what
I
it
know
is.
the answer. I know the answer, but I'm curious for the attendees. Who do you think? Which epic character was born on this day in history? Just throw out a wild guess. If you're unsure, throw out your favorite character of the ones here. I'd love to know what you guys think before I reveal.
I know
who was born on this day.
Who was born on this day? That's interesting. I gotta say, this is definitely something. You know, props to Misty. She's always coming up with these amazing trivia questions. Just totally fun, and it wouldn't be half the webinar without these fun webinar trivia questions.
Thank you. You know what it came from? And we've got some guesses in the chat. We've got a mixture. We've got D, Donald Duck. We've got B, Tom. And we've got A, Scooby-Doo. I was telling my son about some of the cartoon characters. I have a 7-year-old son, by the way, guys, that I grew up with. And he did not know them. You know, all he knows is the Avengers and everything else. And I'm like, hold up. So I had to school him a little bit, you know, yeah. All right, so let's see what the answer is here.
Let's see. What do we see? And it's
Donald Duck.
Donald.
Yes,
wow.
So Clarence Nash, the voice of Donald Duck, was born December 7th, 1904. He is an American voice actor, and he also does the voices for Donald Duck's nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. So fun little fact there for you guys. Share with you if you've got any kids and you need to school them on old school characters.
Old school. That's right. We're going old school. That's awesome. So how many did anyone guess Donald Duck? Because I know it.
Ryan did. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ryan. High five to Ryan. Boom. And that's how we do it live. All right, let's get started. What do you say? You want to know everything about PAT files. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And thanks again for joining us, folks. And here goes. All right. So you should be seeing Bluebeam Revu. Do you guys see that online? Misty, do you see that? The folks online out there, do you see it as well?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. So let's talk about 1,000-foot overview and what exactly are PAT files. To start off with PAT files, well, let's go real old school over here and open up AutoCAD. So I had to brush off the dust off of this software here, and because I'm a Revit user as well as a Bluebeam user, but I came from AutoCAD, and in AutoCAD, you have what's called hatch patterns. So when you start creating your hatch patterns, AutoCAD ships with, or in this case, AutoCAD architecture ships with all these different types of hatch patterns, which you can install or set up here in this environment. So all I'd have to do to put in a hatch pattern is put it in right here, and it finds the information, and I'm done, right? And so over here is this hatch pattern, right? Wrong scale, but you get the idea. So users were requesting Bluebeam to be able to bring in hatch patterns into Bluebeam. So what I want to do is I want to show you 3 different methods. You guys are going to love this. 3 different methods on bringing in, creating hatch patterns in Bluebeam Revu. So you might know that you can create hatch patterns here in Bluebeam. And if you've never seen that, all you have to do is open up, let's say, a closed shape, like a rectangle or circle or polygon. And I'm just going to do a quick test over here off in the top area. And when you place this object up in the top toolbar, top properties bar, you have an area called hatch. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, the hatch patterns are there for your use. I personally don't like them because I think they become, they kind of clutter the drawing too much. I don't know what you all think. But if I wanted to fill this with a pattern, built into Bluebeam are these hatch patterns, which are really neat. So if I wanted to give this a brick pattern, all I have to do is select it, and voila, I get a brick pattern. You'll tend to find that the patterns that come in here are too large of a scale. And so in that case, all I have to do is open up the properties toolbar on the right-hand side. I always like having my properties on the right. I don't know about you all. There's a reason for it, and if you're interested, I'll tell you why. I always move my properties to the right-hand side. But if I wanted to change the scale of this, all I have to do is open up the properties panel on the right-hand side and change the scale. By changing the scale, I can make it smaller, so it fits in this area. So here's the original, and here is the scaled down version. So how do we start to go through and place these hatch boundaries? Well, easy. First, well, we can draw it with a polyline, or one of my favorite ways is using dynamic fill. For those of you who don't know about dynamic fill, this is going to be a great lesson for you. If you have an area such as like this open office area, and we wanted to place an area calculation to get the area calculation and also put a hatch pattern, I could draw it manually by going over here to Tools, Measure, Area, and click and click and click, but that's old school. If you have the new Bluebeam subscription 21 and you're on the complete edition, or if you're on Bluebeam Revu 20 and using the extreme edition, you have something called dynamic fill. Oh, are you ready for this? Dynamic fill. I hope you're sitting down. I'm going to use the shortcut key, the letter J, for dynamic fill. And it comes up with this dialog box over here, this floating box, which allows us to use a paint bucket to really kind of like paint by numbers in an area. And what it'll do, it'll start to go through and fill an area with a temporary hold, let's say a goo of space. You can also define boundaries. So for example, when I start to fill in this area, it's going to fill in over here because there's no lines for the doors. So I'm going to start by putting a boundary, and this prevents the goo, in this case the Bluebeam goo, to not go into these meeting rooms. And I overshot it, and that's fine because this is just a temporary threshold. And think of it like you're pouring paint or concrete. You need a boundary for that concrete to rest against. What we're going to do is pour paint, and it even looks like a paint bucket. And I'm going to simply left click and hold. This is the adult paint by numbers. Boom, and I'm done. Over here, I'll fill in this area, and then I can create different things. I can create spaces and polylines. In this case, I'm just going to create a default area. Over here, by selecting default, right here, it's going to have default, and I'll click apply and close. So there it is. And now I have the space over here that's 944 square feet. But let's say I want to fill it in with a hatch pattern. Simply select it. I can go to the top properties toolbar or the properties panel on the right hand side, my favorite, and apply a hatch boundary, right? So I'll come over here and apply this weave, and there it is, right? And I can try to change the scale of that, and I'm off to the races, right? I can even change the color and make it blue. So over here, how do I start to go through here? Sorry, fill color blue. How do I start to go through and make this unique, right? Let's delete that and start over. If I wanted to create a new hatch boundary, I have the ability built into Bluebeam Revu, an easy way of creating a hatch boundary. First, let's start again by filling in this space with a generic environment, a generic area. And you'll see this time, I'm not going to put a boundary, and you'll see what happens. It fills in this right here. So I'll go back and cut it off with a boundary. And in the next few steps, I'm going to go through and show you how to go through and create a hatch boundary from scratch. And I got other ways up my sleeve as well. All right, so I'm going to move this over here and close. When creating a hatch boundary, again, we have these built-in hatch boundaries under hatch, but I'm going to show you where we're going to start to create some new ones. To do that, I'm going to go over here to manage, and this is where Bluebeam stores all of its hatch patterns. The PAT file that I referred to at the very beginning of the webinar refers to an AutoCAD PAT file, and I'll show you where we're going to get those. But let's start off by first, we looked at the ones that are existing. We're going to look at creating them, and then I'm going to show you how to use AutoCAD hatch patterns. First, we need to create a pattern set. Out of the box is the standard set. Let's create a new set. That set is going to be our group of hatch patterns that we're either going to create from scratch or import from AutoCAD. So I'm going to click Add and give this a new set name. So I'm going to call this Rick's Custom Patterns. Let's call them Rick's Custom Hatches. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. By the way, this is now a set, and over here is going to be a list of all the different patterns that I can create. I'm going to start by creating a new one over here by clicking the plus sign. Over here, this is the name, and we're going to have like a list of all the different patterns that we're going to create. And this one is going to be a, I'm just going to make up a name. I'm going to call this steel pattern. And give it my initials so I know it's mine in case there's another one out there. And when I do that and create one from scratch, I have a preview window of creating a new hatch pattern. Now, this is really, really fun and easy. One of the things for this to work, you always want to turn on snap to grid. And the reason why is that we have the ability to go through and draw with line work and dots information here, and it's going to show us in real time how that hatch pattern is going to self-repeat. So if I simply drew, for example, a line, and I went over here and it's snap to grid, and I drew it from, let's say, from here to here, and you'll see it snapping to these lines, and I go like this, it immediately shows me what it's going to look like. If I continue and draw another line like this, I can see already it's creating a simple little hatch pattern. If I go over here and say, well, what will it look like if I add another line from here to here? You can see it creates something odd. If I want to remove this line because simply it just doesn't work, I'll just click the delete button, and that deletes that part. Let's say we go over here and want to add something other than a line. We can add a small dot or a big dot. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to add a small dot and place it right here. And you can kind of see it makes this little dot. If I want to place a large dot, instead of that little dot, instead of deleting it, I'm just going to put one right on top. And so now I can see what that big dot looks like. Again, this dot really doesn't do anything for me, so I'm going to go ahead and select it using the select tool. Click and delete. Click and delete. Remember, there was 2 dots on top of each other. So let's say this is perfect. You can see how simple this little line is. And now this is a steel pattern. I'm going to go ahead and now see how this works in real time. I'll go ahead and hit OK. Hit OK. And now I've created a set with just one new custom hatch pattern. To apply that custom hatch pattern, all I have to do is select the area that I just created and either go to the top properties or my favorite over here on the right-hand side to the palette, the tool palette, and I'll go over here to hatch patterns. And here's my Rick custom hatches. Notice the standard set is over here and my custom hatches are now grouped down below. I'll go ahead and select that. And there it is. If I want to change the scale of this, all I have to do is simply change the scale, which I typically do, and make it usually 50%. If I want to change the color, simply come over here and change its color. And that's the color of the outline. To change the color of the fill, I'll change it right over here. And there. Now, you might be wondering, how do I go ahead and start to create some other ones? Well, let's see how we can do that. Let's create another filled area. In this case, I'm going to create a filled area right here. Again, using dynamic fill. I love dynamic fill. And again, using a temporary boundary, I'm simply going to click from here to here. And this creates this threshold. You might be wondering, again, why did I do that? You notice those dashed lines, if I were to pour paint, they'll actually go right through those dashed lines. So I'll come over here and add some more thresholds from here to here, and from here to here. Again, overshooting it's not an issue because these are temporary and they'll just disappear when I'm done. And I'll go ahead and add my temporary fill. Did you know you could paint by numbers over here, Misty, using dynamic fill?
I did not know, but that's pretty awesome.
Isn't it? I gotta say,
Yeah.
it's fun for the whole family. So if you're ever wondering what to do on a weekend with the kids, just go ahead, load up Bluebeam and paint by numbers using dynamic fill. All right, over here, I'm going to go ahead and apply and close. So on this one over here, I'm going to apply a new hatch. Again, go to manage. I'm going to open up my set. And over here, click modify, not add, but modify. So when I do that, I'm going to add another drawing. In this case, instead of creating one from scratch, well, let's see what kind of other patterns we can create. I'm going to create another one, another custom one. And let's give it square boxes, square tiny boxes. I don't know what they are, but whatever they are, they're square tiny boxes. And in this case, I'll come over here and simply just draw something from here to here to here to here. And there, we can see that we got these tiny little boxes, right? I mean, how easy is that? If you've ever tried creating a hatch pattern in AutoCAD using Hatch 22 add-in or any of the other ones, including some of the ones from PyRevit, you can see that you don't get immediate results. You don't really see them, but here you really do. And we can even adjust the line width to make it even thinner, okay? Which is usually something I like to do. Over here, I'll go ahead and hit OK and hit OK. And again, add that hatch boundary here. So I'll come over here, and over here is tiny new boxes. Now, what's interesting is in this drop-down menu, you don't see the different sets versus if we were to do the same exercise over here on the right-hand side and going to hatch, we can see the standard and then my custom hatches. Awesome. And again, change the scale and bring it down, right? Easy peasy. Let me go ahead and minimize this. I'm not talking about tool sets today. All right, how do we do AutoCAD hatch patterns? Remember, we had all of these AutoCAD hatch patterns. If you have AutoCAD or AutoCAD architecture installed on your computer, guess what? You have these hatch patterns for free. And what we're going to do is first locate them, right? So I've already done that for you. And by the way, I have a couple set of slides afterwards with resources so you can see where these are. I have AutoCAD Architecture 2024 installed on my computer, and I have, in this case, 236 free hatch patterns that are included. And they're right here under App Data, Roaming, Autodesk, AKA 2024. If you have earlier versions of AutoCAD or AutoCAD Architecture, just look for that year, and you should find it here under ENU, Support, and then PATs. These are the PAT files. And if we were to take a look at what exactly is a PAT file, we can open it up and open that up with Notepad. And that is what that hatch pattern is. It's actually something that can be created manually. Now, no one would ever do this, maybe way back when, but this gives all the information for that line to start at a certain distance and go a certain length and a certain angle. But we're going to do that automatically. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy where this location is to my keyboard, to my clipboard, I mean, and I'll see how we're going to create these hatch patterns from scratch. Let's add another one over here. I'm going to add another dynamic fill pattern right here. As you can see, I love dynamic fill. It is just so easy to use. I'm going to go ahead and apply and close, select it, and then go over to my hatch patterns, go to manage, select this, click modify, and we're going to add another one. But this time, instead of adding one from scratch, we're going to import the AutoCAD hatch pattern. When I click here, I have to find where that is. Remember my earlier step, I went through and I copied to clipboard where that location was. Now over here in file name, Control V and hit open. It takes me right to where these hatch patterns are. If I want to use one of these hatch patterns, just simply click on it. Now, unfortunately, you can only click on one at a time. I wish we could add them all at once, but you can't. I'll add that hatch pattern, and here it is. Take a look at that. That is really, really nice. If I want to add another one, just import AutoCAD hatch pattern and find something else. I'll go ahead and put in concrete. There. And you can see this does it pretty darn quickly. I'll go ahead and hit OK, And now, when I select it, I go to my hatch patterns. Here are my custom hatch patterns. And you can see I easily just added these two. To change it, just simply click on it. Done. So that's how easy it is to bring in an AutoCAD hatch pattern. If we wanted to switch this to a different hatch pattern, no problem. Just switch it up right here by changing the hatch pattern to concrete. Again, you can see this is really, really too small, so we can start to change the scale of this. Okay. So sometimes you have scale it up, sometimes you scale it down. So where do we get hatch patterns if you don't own Autodesk products? If you don't have AutoCAD or AutoCAD architecture, well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to show you where you can download free hatch patterns. Now, we're not endorsing this site. You can find them online. I just happen to find something that really works quite nicely. And I'm going to go over here and share this with you. Where is it? And hold on, I'll bring this over eventually. How's everyone doing so far out there? Any questions? If you have questions, feel free to throw them into the chat area. Here's some hatch patterns that I found online that are free. I'm not supporting these or endorsing these. I'm just saying they're here, and that's cadhatch.com. And you can go over here to free downloads and find all of these different type of hatch patterns. If I want this type of hatch pattern, just simply click on it and simply click on it again. And and it downloads it right here. I'll go ahead and go to that location. Again, since this is something that is out there in the web, I would recommend going through and making sure to run some type of virus scan before extracting it. I'll go ahead and extract it into this location. And there's this hatch pattern. And you can see over here some type of disclaimer, the free hatch pattern. And again, what I'm going to do is Control C, copy where this is, go back into Review, go into my hatch patterns, click Manage, Modify, and I'm going to import another AutoCAD hatch pattern from the Downloads folder. So I'm going to Control V, paste it right here, and there's that hatch pattern that I just downloaded. There it is. This might not look good. Again, I might change the scale of this. And I'll go ahead and hit OK. Let's see what it does. Over here, now just switch it to that new hatch pattern. And there it is. Ta-da! Again, you can see hatch patterns can now be used in a variety of different ways. So when you start doing area calculations, you can differentiate your different types of areas with different type of hatch patterns. So you can start to go through and calculate your square footages visually, getting that information, and also in the markups list. Now, I didn't go through here and show you all. That's another lesson on showing you how to use different hatch patterns and different subjects so you can start to go through and customize this to, let's say, CPT1. And this one here is going to be Steel 1. And this is WD1. And just that simple. Now I can start to use different categories. Again, I would save this over here to my tool sets. So where do we get all of this fun information? Well, what I'm going to do is hand it back over to Misty to see if there's any questions and take a look at those slides. You'll see the information and resources for you at your disposal on where to get these hatch patterns and where to get support. So Misty, how are we doing? Are there questions from the audience? And what do you all think? Did you like this webinar on how easy it is to use the built-in hatch patterns, create ones from scratch using Bluebeam Revu, or importing in new ones from PAT files in from AutoCAD, or getting them free online? So Misty, back to you in the studio.
In the studio. As of right now, we don't have any questions, but yeah, guys, as we take a short little, I guess, question break, is that what we would call it?
I think we're going with a question break because I don't have a dad joke prepared.
Oh man, I should have. Okay, this is terrible, but I follow this TikTok page that has all of these dad jokes from the last time we had a webinar. And I was like, oh man, I need to get some of these and just play it on a Bluebeam webinar. Whether or not you guys as an audience would like it or not, I would have a lot of fun with it. So.
I know. All right. I got one for you. I might have used it already. I probably have. But this is for like those, dad jokes out there or mom jokes that are really bad. What has 4 wheels and flies?
4 wheels and flies.
Now, I'll give you a little bit of context. Wait a minute. Before you answer, I'm going to give you a little bit of context, a backstory to this. When my kids were little, we would go on the plane, flying to wherever, and they would go to the pilot and they would say, hey, I got a joke for you. I mean, they're little, right? And so they would ask the pilot, what has 4 wheels and flies? And what do you think the pilot would say?
He'd say the plane, right?
A plane, right. He'd say a plane. And my kids would be like, no. You know what it is? A garbage truck. It has flies. Bzz. 4-wheel.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. And I'm sad that I had the same answer as the kids, I think. So, but maybe that's a good thing. We do have a question in the chat here. First one, William, yes, this video will be sent to your emails within 48 hours. If you don't get it, I'm going to put my email in the chat. You reach out to me, I'll make sure that you get it.
Yes.
And then also AutoCAD just not as user-friendly as Revit. I think that's a question or maybe a comment.
So, is AutoCAD user-friendly like Revit or vice versa? That's a whole ball of worms right there, or box of worms, or something like that. But Revit to AutoCAD is night and day difference. That's an application for creating sets of construction drawings. Bluebeam is the application for manipulating those PDF drawings and overlaying information on top or embedding it into that PDF.
All right, and we have another question. Can an image, JPEG or otherwise, be used as a hatch, or does a hatch need to be in PAT format, PAT format? Yeah.
It has to be a PAT format. I wish there was, it would be very cool if I could have like a little funny face over here of Donald Duck inserted instead. It has to be some type of vector information. Now, I did notice, by the way, here in the free hatch patterns, they actually have one that is that has like letters in it. So I honestly don't know how they did that one, but it's in there. Maybe look at the hatch pattern generator and see if there's a way you can put an image in there, but I don't know. So typically these are all lines. So again, when we're in review and taking a look at creating these hatch patterns, we go to manage, modify, importing a PAT file. Look online to see what you can find as a PAT file, but when we create a new one, and I'm going to call this Ziggy, these are the options that we have. I can draw a line, I can do a dot, and I can delete it. So again, the nice thing again with this is that you see immediately what this is going to look like. And by the way, if you go through and realize that you wanted to change something, you can simply click on this line, click on it again, and now it changes so you can start to go through and make those adjustments. So just like that, and you can see how it looks. I mean, this is a really, really simple little tool, but incredibly powerful, especially when you start to go through and create simple patterns like this. I mean, look at that. Go here and just make it smaller. Pretty neat, but no way to insert an image that I'm aware of. But if anyone on the call here knows or has seen that, please feel free to chime in, but I've yet to see that. You can insert images in Bluebeam, but not as a repeatable hatch pattern that I'm aware of.
Awesome. And guys, by the way, if you've got any questions on Bluebeam in general, Rick is a certified expert. He can answer any questions, even if it's not about this topic here today for you.
Yeah, and it'd be my pleasure to. You know, Bluebeam is such an incredible application. By the way, there is going to be a link if you look. We have past webinars on our website, asti.com. If you take a look at webinars, past webinars, I have over 100 different webinars on different topics. So if you're interested in learning about something, it's probably already been covered. And if it hasn't, let us know.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can grab that link of the library.
Yeah, but that's my dog saying hi to everyone. Let's take a look at those resource slides, unless we have any other questions. And those
We're all caught up right now.
Yeah, those resource slides that you'll see, let me just go ahead and show everyone online what this looks like. If you need technical support, we're here for you. If you are a customer of Applied Software GRAITEC Group and you need technical support on your Autodesk and or Bluebeam, over here, all you have to do is go to our website, asti.com, go to training and support, and simply click get support. This will bring you to a page where you can call us and talk to one of our support specialists, or click get support and fill out the form. My recommendation is to fill out the form. You'll get faster service. I mean, you'll also get faster service talking to someone, but then they have to type in the information. Here you can upload your problematic file. If you need technical support directly from Bluebeam, you can reach out to them here at support.bluebeam.com. That's support.bluebeam.com. And you can get support help 24/7 from Bluebeam directly. And their agents are standing by and almost as enthusiastic as me. Maybe not. But I'm here to help you all. So again, if you have any questions, again, asti.com/support. And last but not least, if you have any questions, whether or not you are a Bluebeam user, subscriber, our customer, or just seeing this for the first time, and you have any general questions, email me at bluebeam@asti.com. That's bluebeam@asti.com. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And those will show up in the slides right after this.
Awesome. As we reach the end of our webinar here, we do have a fun question from William. He says, who is number one if Georgia beat FSU? The unbeaten teams lose to their one-loss opponent. I'm not a sports person, so I have to rely on you, Rick.
You know what? I'm going to go with... I got beeped out. I don't know. I'm not a sports person either. Can you believe it? I don't know. I don't know sports. Rick doesn't do football. Sorry, folks. I know Bluebeam.
Well, William also said, are there
football
classes?
Team, I would be all over it. I'd be.
You'd be the quarterback, Rick.
I would be I would paint my face blue. Oh, it'd be nuts.
William also asked, are there classes in the Atlanta area?
So if you are interested, we can do classes in the Atlanta area. Again, just reach out to us at bluebeam@asti.com. For the most part, we do virtual classes through Teams and other methods like Zoom, Skype. No one uses Skype, but through Teams currently. So we do offer our classes live, remote, or in person. So absolutely, no matter where you are, whether it's Atlanta or Anchorage, Alaska, I'll come to do training at your location. So yes, we do have live in-person training as well. Just reach out to us at bluebeam@asti.com for more details.
Perfect. And I put those emails in the chat box. If you guys think of any questions after the webinar, you're like, man, I really should have asked that. You can go to the email that he listed, bluebeam@asti.com. You can even reach out to myself. Let's say you didn't get the recording or you've got something question outside of Bluebeam, you can go to mscott@asti.com. But Rick, I want to thank you for always being such a wonderful, wonderful speaker and host and expert.
Thank you. Well, just real quick, I'm pushing that slide over here. Misty, go ahead and push that resource slide.
I see.
I don't know how to make it do the animation. There we go. Awesome. So the free hatch patterns you're seeing right now on your screen, go ahead and keep clicking away, Misty. So the free hatch patterns are at cadhatch.com. Built-in hatch patterns, there's the list of where you can find it on your computer. Let's leave that up there for a moment so people can screen grab that. Sure. Again, it might vary on your computer, but this is where it typically is here on most PC-based computers. Again, this is not Mac. This is a PC-based support path. And then the next one, go ahead to the next slide and hit next again. If you need technical support for our ASTI customers, again, thank you for being a valued customer. you can simply reach out to us at asti.com/support. Or if you want support directly from Bluebeam, nights or weekends, go to support.bluebeam.com or email us at bluebeam@asti.com. And it's been my pleasure seeing you all virtually online.